Hello gentlemen, in this video I'll be making another low poly character model. This is kind of an almost anime style model. It really isn't my thing, but I managed to do it anyway. I learned a lot while making this model, and hopefully you do too. Like always, I'm starting with head silhouettes. Right here you can see the model I made last video that I'm just using as a height reference. So yes, this model is for that game as well. I'm not going to be sharing anything about it just yet because it's all kind of iffy and I'm just the character artist, so I'm not really in a place to be talking about it openly this early on. I'm going to mess around with the hair a lot here, so I'll just let it play out. All it is an octagonal cylinder I screw around with. Back on the topic of last video though, wow. I wasn't expecting to make another video, but about a week ago I checked on the channel and had like 1,000 views and 80 likes or something like that, which is a lot. I mean, it isn't a lot for the platform or anything, but it's a lot for me. On with the bangs of the hair, I just used another mesh here because it's a different enough shape to work with. This is something I did that was pretty smart for the hair. I made a duplicate of this original hair piece, which at this point is just a single-sided shape. I then inverted the faces and stitched the two together to make a closed object. I ended up not doing this in the end and opted for a much simpler method with fewer polygons later down the line, but it's still a good trick to have under your belt. I'm going to cut away some of the fat here of me messing around with this and skip to when I start the horns. This isn't anything special. I just used some mirror modeling to give it a nice edge shape, which is kind of neat. Here I'm starting to make the red hood of the character. Something I have struggled with in the past is taking too many shapes and making them all part of the same mesh. It's fine to have these elements of a character be different meshes if it still looks good. A lot of the reason I make videos is to reflect on myself and see what I did well and what I can do better in the future. If you liked something I did or didn't like something, please make a comment and tell me about it. That's not a request as a content creator or anything, that's just like a request as a friend. This torso piece is actually just a placeholder that I imported from a unfinished commission. I didn't think it was a placeholder at the time, but I ended up getting rid of it entirely to lower the total polygon count. Again, I'm making a new mesh for these coat collar pieces. I know it would have been a pain to make these all part of the same mesh, and I could have done it, but it's easier on my end, and that's what this is about, isn't it? Away from that digression, though, I'm working on the big raincoat here. It's just an octagonal cylinder with one of the sides cut out for the opening. Well, here's some basic coloring on the parts that are done. Don't worry about the fact that it doesn't look good. This is just supposed to be a little reference. It's not going to look like this forever. On with the arms though, I went with simple four-sided shapes. If you have something that's big and blocky, it's best to make it big and blocky. Four-sided shapes also make it easy to put the elbows in. Pay attention to how I make the elbow connections here so that bending the arm in animations doesn't make it appear broken. You see that as a huge common mistake in even really talented mesh artists in Blockbench. They can't seem to figure out how to make joints work correctly, and frankly neither do I, but you know, it's some sort of a fix here, right? When I felt good on how that looked, I wanted to start working on face pieces. I chose to put her eyes and the mouth on a flat plane over her face so I didn't have to fiddle with the mesh of the face too much. Right now, Blockbench doesn't have great UV features when it comes to meshes, so it's sometimes better to just make separate pieces like this when doing more intricate details. Don't worry, I know it doesn't look the best right now, but I'll be coming back to it later. Here's some advice to follow that I didn't initially. Do a little brainstorming before you go into parts of a model. Think about if there's anything you can do to reduce the total polygon count. Generally, lower polygons look better than higher polygons. That's all being said because this skirt and torso piece is very inefficient. I spend a lot of time trying to come up with a way to make it look good, but I end up just deleting them completely in favor of a joint piece using the coat. Before I catch on to my own stupidity though, I spend some time making the legs. I try to make the legs identical or one higher in terms of face count than the arms. I went with 4-sided shapes here again for this one. The knee system gets to be more simple than the elbows just because the legs tend to move less dynamically than the arms during animations. And look here, I'm starting to realize that the current torso isn't going to work out. So sad. But I haven't figured out what to do with it yet, so I just pretend like it's all fine. These big clunky boots that I make are pretty fun. I made a mistake with extruding the faces and had to pull some strings to keep the vertex locations. After that's all fixed though, I plan into a 3D shape using mirror modeling and piece the thing together without much issue. I do make sure I separate the boot at the ankle for easier foot animating. And while I mess around with the legs here, I'll mention that you can press Z to enter this green view mode. It's helpful when you're looking at the shapes and profiles of the model because you don't have to worry about the texture. It also shows outward faces as green and inward faces as red, so you can check for inverted faces on your model. Hey, there we go. I finally figured out what to do with the torso. Great job. Pay close attention here to what I do. It's actually pretty neat, and I'm proud of it. While I continue to mess around with the model, I can give you a little chat here. I didn't record myself making the hands or some of the final details because I didn't think I'd be making any more videos. If you want to see a showcase or a tutorial on how to make dynamic hands for animating, let me know and I'll do another video next chance I get. But with a huge skip, here is the model all finished up. What I do have recorded, though, is the animating process of this model. I have this nice walking animation done, which I can apply to all the models I make in the future that have similar bonature, and a nice cool little backflip animation all recorded up. I won't show those here though, because they're not entirely finished. If you want to see those in another video, let me know. That is the model though. Thank you.